A few days ago, I watched breadtuber Big Joel's video called Fear of Death. It really seemed to land on my YouTube homepage at just the right time, as I've been plagued with these thoughts of existence and death and oblivion. Honestly, the video wasn't what I expected it to be, but nonetheless. In the video, Big Joel discusses his father's premature death from heart failure, Sylvia Plath's The Bell Jar, Don McLean's Vincent, a song that ruminates on Van Gogh's suicide, Carousel, a musical film about death and life continuing on, which his father loved, how we often only remember people through the lens of their death and the ending of their story, and even how his daily running goal only means that he's getting to the end of something. There's one part of the video that really stuck with me.
It's because it has to be that way. People can't just solve all of their problems, can't just get better.
I watch Jordan Peele's Nope every weekend, and I have been watching it every weekend for at least the past 3 months. All of Peele's films thus far are sort of a comfortable kind of horror to me. Not only do they confront real-world issues with a thrilling essence, there's something comforting about knowing and understanding the chaos that the characters will have to wade almost blindly into and seeing them figure it out, while simultaneously learning something new for yourself. I think Big Joel's video really spoke to me because one of the scenes from The Bell Jar reminded me a lot of my own life. This scene shows Esther's bedroom in complete disarray. There are clothes all over the floor, objects all over the dresser, and Esther just lies in her bed. This isn't what my house looks like at the moment, but it's more of what I assume my mind looks like. The bell jar itself is a metaphor for Esther's mental suffocation by the unavoidable settling of depression upon her psyche. Her mind is suffocating itself, and the world around her is white noise. After their father is killed by a nickel that falls out of the sky along with other random objects, OJ and his sister Emerald take over their family's horse wrangling operation. The business isn't going well, and in order to stay afloat, OJ has been selling off some of the horses to Ricky Jupe Park, a child star who runs an amusement park a few miles away. Unbeknownst to OJ and M, Jupe has been feeding the horses to an animal shaped like a UFO, attempting to tame it. OJ and M find out about the UFO and set out a decoy metal horse, which angers the UFO and devours Jupe, his family, his staff, and the patrons at Jupiter's Claim, which totals about 40 people. M, OJ, and an electronics store worker named Angel work with the film director to capture what they call the impossible shot to sell to news outlets in order to save their ranch. Right at the beginning of the film, OJ has to watch his father die from extraordinary and surreal circumstances. Not only was Otis Sr.'s death sudden and inevitable, but it's explained as having come from an airplane, which doesn't make sense. But what other conclusion are they to come to? This particular scene reminds me of The Truman Show. In it, Truman sees a stage light fall from the sky and he just brushes it off because what's the alternative? Believing that he's on a reality show and everyone he's ever met in his entire life is an actor? That seems absurd. Remember this word. Not only has OJ's father passed, but the reasoning just doesn't make sense. Seeing that this is the inciting event, every time we see OJ afterward, we are under the assumption that he has been changed by this event. This is our lens. So the version of the world that we're seeing is one in which OJ and Emerald have lost their father because of a fallen nickel 6 months ago. Their mother also passed away. This isn't named in the film, but the only shot of her that I remember is this black and white photograph, and they don't tell us that this is their mother, but we can make an inference. This is the lens through which they are living their lives. And one of existentialism's perspectives is viewing life through the context of death. In some places, OJ is characterized as depressed because he doesn't speak much, is very reserved, drinks often, and focuses on his work and not much else. But as pointed out by many, kaluuya's horse performance may also be an indicator that OJ is on the spectrum. Regardless, work seems to be at the core of OJ's life. On one hand, it's a distraction from grief. On the other hand, it's a constant reminder that even if your father dies due to a nickel that has fallen from the sky, life will and must go on. As great of an actor as Kaluuya is, and as understandable as OJ's characterization is, a film with just OJ at its center would not be entertaining to watch. At least not this film. This is why Emerald's juxtaposition of OJ is necessary. In many ways, she's his exact opposite. She doesn't want to do any work. She doesn't internalize or worry about much outside the immediate obstacles that she and OJ face. When Jupe's sons retaliate by letting Clover out of her stall, Emerald's immediate concern is pranking them back, and not the fact that they were only reacting to her stealing their horse.
They trying to prank Haywood? It's on!
Hey, you stole that horse.
Still, she's so likable. We're all just looking for our next distraction from the future and therefore death. In a way, she's the shiny thing being waved in front of our faces to distract us from the inevitability of oblivion. An oblivion OJ seems to be facing head on, from the death of their father and then their business, to their horses perishing, to his potential death at the end of the film when he distracts Jean Jacket so that M can get away. At the end, OJ is alive, but death was clearly something that he'd accepted in that moment if it meant his sister's safety. The idea of life continuing is definitely a theme of the film. In the beginning of the film, there's a report of hikers going missing near the Haywood Ranch. Later, we learn that this was the doing of Jean Jacket. But notice how Otis Sr. and OJ react to the news. They don't. They continue on. We feel the deaths of these 40 people from Jupe's claim more than our characters because we literally see them get digested. As devastating as Senior's death feels to us, the incredibly emotion-filled looks that OJ and M give each other in this scene when they're trying to decide which of them has to essentially sacrifice themselves to Jean Jacket so that the other can survive, life will continue on after both of these moments. If the film crew that showed up at the end of the film wasn't doing a story on Jean Jacket, the Haywoods, and Jupiter's claim, they'd be doing a story on something else, somewhere else, and the next day, and the next day. In this scene, we see 4 of the Haywoods' horses walking in this machine. They're walking in circles. After the people at Jupiter's claim are devoured, Angel and OJ take all of the batteries out of their cars. Life goes on. After Antler's Holt is devoured, Angel uses his camera. Life goes on. After Jean Jacket dies, the recording at Jupiter's claim continues. Life goes on. This film also places importance on cameras as a way to preserve memories and occurrences for those who will come after us. From their great-great-grandfather to their mother to their father to the original Jean Jacket to the new Jean Jacket to all of the memorabilia in Jupe's office. When you're looking at a photograph or through a camera, you know that you're viewing the world through a specific lens. Our own memories and experiences form the lens through which we view our own lives. Hi, sisters! Really quickly, I just wanted to point out that, of course, for most of the film, Jean Jacket looks like a camera aperture or like a lens or whatever. Obviously, that links to the other ways that cameras are used in this film. But you also have to consider the fact that this opening is also how Jean Jacket sees. It's where Jean Jacket poops. It's where Jean Jacket eats. And it's also what Jean Jacket uses to frighten its enemies, like we see it do with OJ and with the big balloon at the end of the film. I don't know what that means. I just thought it was interesting. After learning that Jean Jacket isn't a UFO and is more likely an animal or an alien that operates in a similar fashion to earthly carnivorous predators, OJ says that you can't tame a predator. In most scenarios, we humans consider ourselves as apex predators. I once watched a clip of Neil deGrasse Tyson on Joe Rogan because it's like half of YouTube shorts, and during the talk he said that if there were a species of aliens that lived on photosynthesis, or the conversion of light energy into chemical energy, our eating of plants and animals would seem barbaric. A humanist worldview and our need to be the apex species places human morality on animals and results in the extinction and endangerment of all kinds of animals, rather than learning to coexist with them. The moment an animal is more of a current risk to humans than a benefit, it has to die. It's curtains for that animal. Throughout the film, animals are used as a means to an end for humans. After OJ is fired at the beginning of the film, they bring in a fake horse instead. A real one wasn't convenient enough. Gordy, which is a name given to a group of chimps that played a character on a Phone 90s sitcom, was used not unlike Michelle on Full House, a naive mascot, only to be shot dead after a 6-minute 13-second rampage initiated by a popping balloon. Only after humans were endangered did the metaphorical film and showrunners forbid the use of chimps on set, not for the safety of the chimps, but for the safety of the humans. Chimps are an endangered species, by the way, and they were declared endangered in 1990, but that isn't the reason that they can't be used in television and film, at least in this universe. If you didn't know, the film kind of mashes up a few real stories, and 2 of them are Saturday Night Live occurrences. The first is Chris Kattan playing an animal. In 1996, SNL launched Kattan's character Mr. Peepers, the human ape. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson played his father, Papa Peepers, in one of the sketches as well. That's why Jupe mentions Chris Kattan playing Gordy. The second occurrence that the film seems to be referencing was revealed by Jason Bateman in his 2020 SNL monologue. In in 2005, they had a chimp on stage, and the chimp swiped at Bateman. Bateman said that the chimp was an adult and attacked him, but this PETA article says that this was a 3-year-old baby chimpanzee and that the motion was more fearful than aggressive. The consequences faced by Jupe's co-star, Mary Jo, parallel a chimpanzee attack on a woman named Charla Nash. She befriended a couple who had domesticated a chimpanzee, and when she came over to help care for it, it attacked her, causing extensive damage to her face and hands. Existentialism is about the experience of human anguish and confusion, ideas that all humans are familiar with. I wanted to focus on 3 of these so as not to bore you or to wax poetic about a field that I'm not very familiar with for too long. Here are other videos that explain these ideas way better than I can. We'll split this into 3 sections: the absurd, despair, and angst. Living an absurd life in this case means that you're living a life free of meaning imposed upon it by others. If you are pursuing a certain field or occupation in order to do the most good or even the most bad, you're not living a life of the absurd because you're working to influence man's existence. It's an awareness of the meaninglessness of life. A life of the absurd is what OJ is living. He doesn't dedicate himself to anything but his horses and his family. Those things hold meaning for him. His work and his drinking are a distraction from the inevitable, the downfall of Haywood's Hollywood horses, but also his own death. On the other hand, judging by her first monologue, Emerald has dedicated herself to pursuing fame. Also, getting a photo of Jean Jacket for TMZ or Oprah is Emerald's idea. While Emerald is absolutely out for her own interests, hence her hitting on a woman in the store when she already has several girlfriends apparently, and OJ reminding her that she's just as stubborn as their father was, she does want her life to mean something to others. She wants a future in front of the camera, not behind it. But this is seemingly an authentic desire of hers upon which she's placed her own meaning. On its own, despair is the loss of hope, but existentialist despair is a constant state of being. It's especially apparent when a person experiences a loss of hope concerning an aspect of their identity. So if I wanted to become an astronaut and I dedicated a substantial part of my life to it, just for the space program to be shut down, I'd be in despair. Danganronpa type beat. OJ begins experiencing this despair after his father dies. All his life, this is what OJ has done. He's learned to train horses in this business with his family. Now, his father has died. Emerald's upfront about her desire to switch careers, and in addition to the work drying up, the business is dying. There aren't any conversations about what OJ will do if this falls through, because OJ is under the assumption that he's going to make this work. Even if he's only running toward failure, he just can't stop. He has mouths to feed. Life goes on. Emerald is in despair the way every artist is. Arts funding is constantly being cut. Humanities programs are being gutted at colleges across the nation, and companies are making and will continue to make every effort at having AIs do the jobs of artists. Either you make an extraordinary living or art is an expensive hobby. That part of Emerald's identity is always in danger, and OJ even scolds her for putting that part of her first. Jupe is in despair. It's implied that Jupe was a mediocre child actor. In the Gordy scene, we see him flub his lines, and when he does get the line right, he only gets a small laugh from the audience, while Mary Jo nails it immediately. His previous role in Kid Sheriff is the only one that people really know him for, and even then, they don't know him for it. His theme park has only recently opened, and it doesn't look like it's very well attended. When Emerald meets him, she recognizes him, but only after seeing the memorabilia in his office. They walk through the park, and she still didn't know who he was. He thinks he has a special relationship with Gordy and tries to replicate that with Jean Jacket, as is exhibited by the Gordy scene, being immediately followed by the scene of Jean Jacket devouring people at Jupiter's claim. Angst is different from fear because it can be caused by nothing. Here's a common example. When you're standing on the edge of a cliff, you're experiencing this angst. While there's nothing to keep you from jumping off, there's also nothing to keep you from not jumping off, both not a thing and nothing. There literally isn't anything forcing you to go with either of those options, but also the idea of nothing is in the way. When you experience this, you're experiencing the angst of freedom. It seems like Emerald is experiencing this freedom. She doesn't consider the ranch her job. She's kind of characterized as a free drifter sort of person, but it doesn't seem like freedom is something that OJ is quick to embrace or even recognize. He could experience his own form of freedom by selling the rest of their horses in the ranch to Jupe, The idea of freedom is actually quite terrifying, though. If you have the power to do whatever you want according to your own will and there's no sense of morality or consequences to guide you, what would you do? OJ doesn't seem to even consider jumping. He keeps his feet on the ground and for the film remains the most practical. This idea is the one that I'm way less sure about. If you have any thoughts, let me know. Humans are concerned with self-preservation. We are sentient meat sacks and we spend every day trying not to die. That's what life is. The implication there is that death is something to be feared, something to be avoided at all costs, or it is nothing, which humans tend to fear even more. How do you place meaning on your life before you inevitably arrive at the end of it? And what does the end of something mean when life and existence and time will continue to move on? What does the end of another year mean to you? See you next year.
Felt like I cheated the whole or that presidential. My heart would beat so damn fast. Never knowing this moment would bring another life into this world. Funny how shit come together sometimes, you dig.